welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this Q&A with the film Sisters, the summer we found our superpowers. I could not be more excited to have all of our special guests with us today. You'll see we have a collection of people all at once, which is one of the things that makes this film so special. I want to welcome the directors, Silje Salomonsen. Is that right?
It's okay.
Close enough. And Arild Østin Ommundsen, and their beautiful daughters, Billie and Vega Østin. As you can see, they're all in one place. They're all one family. Arild and Silje are a married couple who have made this film together, and Billie and Vega are their daughters. It's one of the things that makes this film so fantastic. And I just love that, I love this film. We fell in love with this film when we saw it, and we're so thrilled to have it at the festival. But I love that it's a family film that was actually made by a real family. And I'm wondering, had you all ever made a film together before this?
Not all of us, but me and Arild. I'm usually an actress. So I have starred in his movies since '96.
Wow.
And the girls have played small parts and in some of our features earlier.
Yeah.
But they never have.
Vega was actually starring in a movie when she was 1 day old. That's her.
She was in the hospital.
So you just started them right from the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why we had them.
So you have built-in actors. You were particularly well planned for the pandemic, so that you could just keep making movies in your house all day.
Yeah. It's very
so what made you decide that this was the time that you knew you were ready to make a story with the whole family together?
Well,
Silje had been away for a couple of months doing a movie in Oslo. And Vega was really tired of she being away, and it was her suggestion that the next time we have to make a movie that we all could kind of stay together. So that was her plan.
And
actually.
Also a movie that they were allowed to see, because the movies we have made before have
back 15 years.
Right.
So they wanted to join in on the project. So we thought it was a good idea to test it, but we didn't know if it would maybe just tear us apart. So we did this week in the mountains just to test samarbejde.
Yeah.
Collaboration. And see if it would be anything at all. And the first week didn't actually go very well. It was very frustrating, and it was also the summer that was extremely hot. The temperature was 30 Celsius.
35 Celsius.
Yeah. And it was very difficult because Billie was only 4 years old. She couldn't read the script. So it was just, the first week was just testing and very slowly trying to get some scenes and some situations at all. And finally, kind of step by step, it turned into something. So we decided to stay in and do it.
Yeah, it really paid off. So what would you say was the most challenging thing about working together as a family?
You know, as a parent, we know the kind of the borders the kids have, but they also know how to take advantage of their parents. So the hardest thing was maybe that after we have been shooting a whole day, we also had to do all the things that we promised them, you know, to maybe take a bath for 4 or 5 hours. And
buy ice cream, lots of ice cream.
Lots of ice cream. So it was the hardest part was actually doing all the stuff we had to kind of promise them during the day of shooting.
And what was the most fun of working together as a family?
When we managed to get them into this kind of role play and do the scenes and be in the situations, and just the camera could just roll and focus on the situation, and that was very satisfying when it worked. It didn't maybe the timing was maybe just 5 minutes, but if those minutes became very good, it kind of made us want to continue.
And what was fun for Billie and Vega? What would you say was the most fun for you?
Du kan jo se det på norsk, så kan du oversette.
Ja, men jeg kan det kjekkeste.
Etterpå eller før?
Etterpå.
Vega, she thinks the most fun was after the shooting, to see it in the cutting room and making music and doing the voices and working in the studio with the sound. I think that was most exciting for her to see the whole process, and that is also a big thing about this project, because we do this as our work every day, and now they have been able to join us and see actually how much work it is to get a movie finished, and now they kind of get this critical when they see other movies, they can hear the sound, and they can see that the animals just are cut and pasted in, and that it's fake, and that it's so they have learned something, I think, about this.
They're not normally this shy.
I know. I think you could tell from the movie, but I get it.
Yeah, Billie, she loved to be at the beach, where they find the bird and where they make the fish. And she also liked when she was sailing down the river on the unicorn.
Well, who wouldn't like that? That looked fun. That was definitely fun.
Mm.
So can you talk a little bit about the inspiration for the story? Did you write it knowing that, I mean, it sounded like you wrote it knowing obviously you were going to cast your own daughters, but I'm wondering just, how you conceived of that particular story.
In the beginning, the movie we made together before this was really, really complicated.
It was kind of false memories and
is it a dream? Is it not a dream? It's a kind of a very complicated movie. So when I was in the end of the editing process of that film, I thought I wanted to make something really, really simple. So I came up with this, one day I just thought of this idea of two girls out on a hike with a dad, and the dad falling down in some kind of crack or something. And then I started writing, thinking maybe that was something I should make a couple of years ahead. But then I realized that it was quite heavily inspired by the kind of dynamics between these two. And I thought, well, they're kind of the perfect age. And then I started talking to Vega about it. And she got, we thought about how things they could experience during their time in the woods and in the mountains. So she kind of influenced the whole thing. And then I stopped writing a normal script, and we just worked kind of out of kind of outline kind of thing. Yeah, because it's really not much of a story. It's really simple.
How much of it was actually scripted, and how much of it was improvised, given that?
Well, it was scripted in a way that they knew where they were going and who they were going to meet. But many of the situations, we just put them in and gave them a chance to solve them like they would do naturally, to see if that could bring something. And then maybe we built on that. So, for instance, the situation in the river where they're going to cross the river, we just left them on the one side and we ran over and we said, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a kind of way of working that we've also done before with grown actors. Just kind of we have a script, but the script is something that we fall back on if it's not working in any other way. So it's more like kind of a role-playing thing where people know who they are, and we just put stuff in front of them and see what happens in a way. So, but some of the scenes are really rehearsed dialogues and stuff, but it's kind of I think maybe 50-50 of some of the stuff that those girls come up with, we couldn't write. So, yeah.
And also, so the children are lever seg inn i. They're
immersed in it. Yeah.
Immersed in it. So, and we also think that the audience, the small ones on 4 or 5 years, they know there's a difference in watching actors in a fake way or in a real way.
Yeah.
That we believe in.
Yeah. You know, I think that's one of the things I loved about it. It just felt really sort of natural and you know, that the experience kind of flowed rather than it feeling, it just felt like if this story was done in Hollywood, it would have felt, the tone would have been totally different, and there would have been, the scary would have felt scarier, and you know what I mean? Like it just felt, and watching, like you said, watching them discover how they could figure things out themselves felt really, really authentic too.
And also in a way that she couldn't nearly talk. Her language is kind of very childish, as she was just 4. So many of the things she's saying is you can't understand it even in Norwegian, but you understand the situation, and the children that watches, they can relate because of that they are a little child themselves. Kan nå snakke det med helt feil her.
Yeah. Actually, I made a children's movie about 10 years ago. That was actually just the opposite. It was a very fixed script, and the kids just had to do the exact words. And I felt that although I think it was a pretty okay movie, it kind of felt a bit stiff. And I remember particularly on that film, I thought it would be nice to see children behaving, just being in the moment, just kind of breathing in the world. And me and Silje talked a lot about that before we started this movie, that we wanted to experience nature on their kind of level, being in the grass and being in the woods, and just be there, and not there's not that much happening in this film. So, but try to make it engaging on a kind of a sense level, and
also slow level. We talked about earlier that it could be like a Malik for kids story, that we wouldn't put them on the marks and do this very arrangements and give them lines, but more let them just be there and get this situations alive. And there was a story about 2 girls exactly their age in America who got lost and were lost in 2
days.
Yeah.
Survived on a chocolate bar.
Yeah. So it's real, but we didn't want to make it scary. It should be safe. It's very scary for the parents to see 2 children lost in the wilderness. It can be dangerous, but we wanted it to be that the nature is a kind nature. It's mild, and it's the weather is nice, so it wouldn't scare anyone away too much.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things that was really great about it. That feeling that you know that they were lost, and they were in peril to some degree, but like I said, it felt like, well, what's really going to go wrong?
Yeah, because they're kids and they're in the moment. So if they just follow that seed flying or and focus on the bird. But of course she is older, so she knows she has a responsibility on her shoulders, and that also may make her maybe grow up during this trip. And realize something about the grown-up world, that we are. They don't get any help of the grown-ups, which was also important for us, that the kids were going to save their dad themselves. Often especially in Norwegian movies, there always come some police or rescue in the end, but we wanted the girls to find out themselves how to solve.
and kind of tell the children that watch the movie that all grown-ups are dysfunctional in some kind of way.
And I thought that was one of the most powerful things, the fact that it really demonstrated like the frailty, the fallibility of adults, and that they're not always the ones that are going to fix everything. And that even when they met the adults, towards the end, it seemed like, oh, well, now they're saved. And then it was like, oh, no, that person's not going to save them. And then immediately, they really need to do this themselves. I thought that was a really powerful message. I loved that.
Yeah, good.
Very well done. Do you guys as a family, do you spend a lot of time outdoors in the wilderness? Was that a space that you're all comfortable, working and playing in? Because it felt like, the girls felt like they were very much comfortable in that space too.
Well, all Norwegians are maybe, but we're really not this. Actually,
no. not before this movie. We're kind of city based.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of, in a very quick way, get used to being in nature. I used to be a lot in nature when I was younger, because, as you said, every Norwegian is kind of dragged out in nature when they're small. So we've all been there, but these kids have luckily been spared of that until now.
Did you guys like it, Billie, Vega? Did you like being outdoors, spending that much time in the wilderness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looked really fun. So I'm wondering how much your characters resemble your own personalities and your own relationship. You said that you it sounded to me like you kind of based it on that. Is that a little bit pretty close to how they are in regular family life?
Som du kan säga, jeg lurer på hvor mye du føler at Billie I filmen ligner på Billie.
Så vil du svare på det på engelsk? Maybe. Ja, du kan si det på norsk.
At det liksom jeg er ikke helt lik I filmen som jeg I virkeligheten, men litt sånn. Ja.
Vega is saying that she's not quite the same person. She's told me earlier that she feels it like 50-50 acting and based on something she can relate to. But she is a big sister in real life and in the movie. And she is the one that often takes control and has to babysit her little sister. So there's some resemblance there. And she also maybe have the bit older thoughts and reflections.
I can say something that maybe reflects how she relates to the film is that she had a meeting with the woman who made the costume. And she asked her what she wanted her costume to look like, and she told her, "Well, I want wings, I want a cape, I want unicorn,
and I want it to be green and blue and yellow and a dragon."
And the costume person noted down everything and just gave her the costume with everything she asked for. So that is completely her imagination who's made that costume.
And it wasn't very practical when someone had to go to the loo.
So then was the unicorn always part of the story, or did that come out of the fact that she wanted it part of her costume? Because obviously the unicorn plays in pretty significantly throughout, and particularly at the end with the, floating down the river. So how did the unicorn, and knowing that there was sort of that little element of, believing in the magic and believing in yourself, how the unicorn kind of fed into that.
Yeah. But it came from Billie, I guess, because she has unicorns on everything, and there's unicorn teddies and t-shirts, and it kind of turned into what it is.
Yeah, that was very much from her, but also we felt that that's something that kind of a lot of little girls her age are really into and been for some years.
Yeah.
So but that's her imagination. That's the same is actually the Norwegian kind of the original title of the movie is something that she during the movie she's calling out, "Give me an A, give me a P," and she answers "Tuttori," and that's the title. But that's the word that she invented.
Oh.
So that and later we have been been aware that a film that I hadn't seen on that in that time, the Japanese movie Totoro, which is also about two sisters, animation film, but it's actually a coincidence that the titles are so alike. She never saw that film, but she just made up that word. And that word, she also started talking about. Totoro was the name of the unicorn, and then it was also the name of herself, and it was kind of turned into the name for that kind of power.
Inner power.
Yeah. So that is totally her imagination, but luckily she don't understand what I'm saying now, because then she had to kind of have some money for the script.
So come back to you on that later, now that this is being recorded. Yeah. Older. Well, so I'm wondering then, I presume that must be why there's a difference between the Norwegian title and the American title. I imagine that they didn't want any confusion between the Miyazaki film, The My Neighbor Totoro, so that they changed it to Sisters.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But the interesting thing too, that in the Norwegian title, I noticed that it's Totori, the summer we were alone, or we were on our own, whereas in the American title now it's Sisters, the summer we found our superpowers. And so I found that really, like, because it seemed like that was sort of the dual dynamic that was going on throughout the story too, of the being alone and finding our superpowers, that those things were actually kind of one and the same. So it just was an interesting mix of translation, you know.
It's kind of a positive version and maybe a bit more dangerous version.
No, kind of a Nordic version.
Nordic noir version.
Right. Yeah, I think that, the implications.
The Norwegian distributor was also, some of them were afraid of the word alone in the title, until I reminded them that one of the most successful films of all time is actually called Home Alone. So I saw an interview with the director of Home Alone, and he talked about how Home Alone, not the title of the film, but being home alone is at the same time the most scary thing for a child, but also the most exciting. And I think that is something that kind of also relates to this film, that it's a scary summer, a couple of days in the summer, but it's also very exciting for them. So that mix,
Yeah.
She's done. Billy's done.
Yeah, this kind of reflects how it was making this.
It's,
you know,
but this is how it was. Yeah.
Can you talk how you shot the scene with the moose? Is that I know you mentioned at the beginning that there were some things that were inserted after the fact. Was that actually a live moose that you shot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
That was kind of luck in a way, because we had talked to this. There's this kind of a huge park in the center of Norway that is not. It's a really big area where the moose are walking along, and they're not tame because, as he said, the person who
no mooses are
no moose is ever domesticated. But what we had originally planned just to kind of find a moose and then shoot kind of over the shoulder of Vega and from far away. But that day there was one moose that had actually stepped over, so she the foot was a bit hurt. So she spent most of that day lying down. And then when we had done the shot kind of 10-15 meters away, the kind of moose whisperer, he said, I think there's a little girl here who wants to maybe get a little closer to the moose. And I was like, yeah, maybe. and then she just walked over to the moose, and the moose whisperer guy, he was always really close by. He was just next to her in the shot, but it was a really powerful thing because it's a huge animal, really huge, and but as he said, they're not hostile and they're not kind of dangerous, but if you stand in their way, they will just keep on walking. So it was kind of it's always safe, but it was kind of
exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah, Vega, what was that experience like for you? I was just like, the thought to be that close to a moose just seems so incredible.
It was really fun, but also a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's a big animal, really big.
I don't know anyone who cuddled a moose.
Yeah, and that's a really...
It's normal in Norway, because it's definitely not normal here.
Oh, it's not normal in
It's
Norway.
not normal at all. So a lot of people here think it's kind of a special effects shot because it's not...
It looked very real. I thought it was, but then I sort of second guessed myself when you know, just because it, like you said,
the flies make it real.
Yeah.
That was really great. Can you explain a little bit about the mother character and what kept her apart from the family? Just, you know, it was I know deliberately sort of not specific about it, but just, you know, for kids to kind of get a little bit of a sense of what that was like, you know, what that experience was, and you know, how you kind of conceived of the mother character that way.
Yeah, I think the thought is that it's kind of the grown-ups that is dysfunctional, but she's kind and she wants to do the best, but sometimes mothers and fathers isn't working, and there are many different versions in every family of that. So it's kind of a way into talking about it maybe, and we thought about that she's also she's falling in her own hole,
Yeah,
if you can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the grown-ups in different ways are in holes and don't get up, and they have to find their inner powers as well. So kind of opening that for children to talk about psykisk helse, mental disorders and mental issues, and that the grown-ups can be weak sometimes, but they also, maybe when they're weak, they are also strong in a way. She's still watching them in some way, and also let children know that it'll pass. It will be light on the other side.
Yeah, we didn't want to make it a film about you know, mental issues. But we wanted to kind of hint to it, so that I think, yeah, it seems like even the kids they get kind of the point, and they can kind of project their own parents into it.
Yeah, definitely. So we're so thrilled to have the North American premiere of the film. Is there anything in particular you'd like American kids or audiences to take away or learn from the film, you know, knowing that this is your first English-speaking American audience?
It's very exciting because if it will work in other areas in Norway, it's
yeah, you know, because it's a really, really small film, and we
very local.
We're actually looking at everyone in the crew also. There was just us making this film, so we're very excited and kind of excited to see if Americans can somehow relate to it. We don't know, because it's for us it's a very kind of local film
and personal in a way. Yeah.
So.
And it's also about making movies, because we also fall into holes when we make movies. And we have to climb up every time. So yeah, we hope they can enjoy it. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite films of several of our programmers, and you know, so I'm you know, we're going to be showing it it's also part of we have an education program as part of the festival where we show a lot of our films to schools. So there's going to be a lot of younger students watching as well. So we're excited to have it as part of that. Yeah, I think it would definitely. So yeah, I was actually going to ask about the size of your crew. So basically, were you guys doing most of the shooting? There weren't many other people, you know, kind of on set with you. It was just the four of you?
Arild has the camera and I have the sound, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had one extra guy on the stunt scene with the dad falling. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes we kind of recruited some random people to help us. But I think about 90% of the film is made just with these 4 people.
And
So
how long did it take you to make it?
the most of it we were shooting in 2018, the summer. But then the autumn came and the leaves are falling, and we cut some.
Started cutting?
Yeah, cutting it together, and we realized we missed some kind of action scene or a bit scary places, and we were very afraid that she was going to lose her front teeth. But she didn't, luckily. So we could, the next year, 2019, we went out again and shot 2 more scenes.
Yeah, a couple of scenes.
Yeah. So basically it's 2 years in the making, 2 summers, yeah.
And they didn't grow too much in between to make it look so that you still had the continuity.
Oh, I can see it, but I don't think anyone else can.
Yeah, subtle enough. So what are you working on something now? What are your next projects? You think you'll make more films together as a family? And like I said, since now's a perfect time when other people can't really do as much production, that you guys actually have your whole team together.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think when we finished this, it was never again. But it's kind of maybe like having babies. You forget about the
labor.
Yeah. and the no sleeping, and you maybe you can do it again sometime.
Yeah, but now we are actually sitting now and planning a film that is a kind of follow up to the first movie we made 20 years ago. So that is a film about mostly grown-ups, but you never know. I mean, might need some kids.
Yeah.
And Vega and Billie, do you want to make more movies with your parents or without your parents?
Yes.
Do you want to make more movies?
Yes.
Would you want to make, now that you know more about the movie making process too, are you interested in actually making movies other than just acting in them?
Lyst til å lage film selv?
Eller bare være skuespiller?
I don't know.
Nei.
No, I don't know.
It's a little early. You can make those decisions as you go.
Yeah.
A lot more practice.
Just hope there's a movie business left in 10 years or so.
Good point. There'll be something new.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has been such a pleasure talking to you guys. I just love the film. It's so great to see what you've put together, and it's really wonderful to meet all of you. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks so much for spending this time with us and sharing your film. We wish you the best with the film going forward. I'm really excited for our audiences to see it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.